Hello, guys. Ray Banana here, getting set up. Figure I go live and get set up on the fly because I that's how I roll. I'll just do it that way. I thought I had things kind of organized yesterday. Had a big kerfuffle with my computer, like the biggest kerfuffle you can imagine, and so I got things kind of pre-staged because I knew, and I knew this is coming, obviously, and but there was one thing that I had to jump through that I did not plan for. Okay, so just a second. I'm getting onto Spaces, and once I'm on Spaces, we'll go live. They're probably on. I'm going to change your YouTube settings. You know, hold on a second. Hold on. Good morning, Lemonade. I might, you know, there. That's always an option. That's nice. That's an option. Bear with me, guys, please. Um, Spaces. We're live, so we're good. Relax, breathe, relax. Spaces. Okay. Put 2 people in there. All right. I'm gonna have to do that after all. That one thing. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to turn the volume up here. There we go. I can probably hear you better now. How do you do? Oh, I was a little frazzled because, I mean, after what I went through with my computer this week, I knew I needed to prep some things before this morning, and I did, but I didn't understand there were a couple other things I had to do, and so sorry I'm late, guys. No, no, I had a security breach.
Really?
Yeah. So I'll just tell you guys about it. So you know how you get those calls from Google, right? And yeah, and so we've gotten those, and I'm like, and my wife, they come to her phone, and and I'm like, listen, and they've got perfect English. They play the role very well. They'll even be like, hey, sorry, I, I gotta talk to somebody else about this. I'll be back in a minute. They come back in like a minute, and they're like, I'm so sorry to make you wait. It's gonna be another second. And yeah, man, I mean, and flawless English, dude, flawless. And I'm like, no. So, but the other night, my wife's away from the house, and she texts me, and she's like, hey, she didn't tell me that she was on the phone with somebody, and she's like, can you like give me that number on your YouTube, you know? And I was busy, I was distracted, and I gave her that authorization number or whatever, and she gave it to the guy. And by the next morning, somebody had made a very, very disgusting request from my ChatGPT, and immediately I knew I was compromised. I was like, "Oh, yo, that was not me." And then I go to my YouTube channel, 125 plus videos are linked, and I'm like, "Okay, it's time to like light this computer." So first thing I did, of course, was get with YouTube, and I think they're going to um, backdate my channel. Good, that'd be great because that's like one of the highest priorities. And then I wiped my computer yesterday and reinstalled, and I've got a much better setup. So, yeah, I just a moment of not having my guard up, being distracted when it came to my, and I had that little inkling in my mind, like, this is your precious, like, Google, Gmail, Google Drive, YouTube account, and you're giving your wife access to it. Well, and I didn't even know she was on the phone with some guy that's like, yeah, Google, we got a notification that somebody got access to your husband's email account. False.
My motto is with all that stuff. Everything broke, no fix.
Uh-huh.
Right? It's everything's fine. Everything's working perfectly. Nothing is wrong with my account. My YouTube channels are fine. But someone just out of the blue calling me telling me something's wrong.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that was but the it,
I'm just glad Freddie got it any worse for you. It could have been a lot worse,
yeah, you're absolutely right. It could have been a lot worse. I mean, it could have been crypto related. So like I told Crypto Kong, because he and I were talking about it. I was like, he's like, I'm so sorry. I said, yeah, it's pain in the butt for about 2 days. It shuts me down out of work for 2 days. But hey, I didn't lose any crypto over it, thankfully. And I have a much better.
Great learning experience.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, I'm one of those guys. I was literally storing passwords on my computer for years, which I guess is okay as long as you're using the two-factor authentication on your phone. That's what I'm doing a lot of that right now. Two-factor authentication on the important accounts, my Google, which is everything, and my X account and my Telegram, and then everything else that's of importance. I have the password written down on a piece of paper. Like I write out my new passwords before I make them digitally. And I don't have a backup. They're on a piece of paper. I can get in if I need to, if I were to lose my passwords. Yeah. So it was a good bad experience. And I got a better security posture over it. And my wife, she learned a lesson too. She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, yeah, I know you are. I'd never even given her anything like that before. Well, I'd never given anybody any kind of thing, but it was my wife, so I just kind of, okay, she must be doing something special for me. It was special.
You guys have any word on any updates on what's going on with the system?
The website, the reporting system, or just
pTGC. No, yeah, the system, not the machine.
Rework system.
Yeah.
We have the latest version. Banana's testing it for me right now because the computer I was doing the testing with, the RAM went out and my whole entire work computer problem. And the RAM on my work computer is sadly integrated with the motherboard, so they have to. It's not like a unplug and plug a new one back in thing. They have to like solder it into the motherboard, so I won't have that computer for a week, which really screws me up work-wise because that's with my in real life business, everything. So Banana's doing some testing for me right now with the new site and the new system. How's it going, Banana?
So far, flawless. It's working. I tested it from 2 different soft wallets, Rabby and Internet Money Wallet. And like I tested with my referral link, and it's reflected in the leaderboard like right away from both wallets. And then I tested from 2 other gentlemen actually that are helping test also, I tested their referral links, and it worked fine. And what I'm looking for is like after I do the transaction, I'm looking for deflection in the dollar amount that was purchased by the referee, which is me. I'm just using someone's referral link. I'm looking on the leaderboard for deflection in the dollar amount, the amount of pTGC that was purchased, and of course the transaction, which you can see if you just click on view transactions or whatever that button says. And it's working. So far, so good. I have not yet tested it today, but one of the other two gentlemen that are helping test also got a perfect transaction.
Are you going to run it through MetaMask?
Every time I've tested it, I use MetaMask, so I've been testing on MetaMask. I haven't had the computer I've been doing the testing on. I haven't had it for 3 days now.
At this point, what are you guys thinking?
I was hoping to kind of have it ready by the beginning of this month, but sadly, I'm still up for debate if I want to test it myself with this wall. I also was going to test it with the DAO as well, but with just to do a bigger purchase and just do a buy and burn with the tokens, just to kind of push a few bigger purchases through the thing. Right now, we're testing like very small amounts, like dollars, a couple dollars here or there, just because we want to get a lot of transactions through it. But then after we kind of verified nothing's wrong there, I did want to push a few buy and burns through it, not for the rewards, just to see bigger purchases going through it, like a couple $1,000 purchases. Just making sure the swap's pushing through cleanly and stuff like that. And after we get through that phase, I'd say it's probably ready to just release.
That's what you're probably talking. We're probably talking within the next couple of weeks.
I would say for sure in the next couple of weeks. I was even thinking sooner than that. Right now, I'd say just because I can't help with the small purchases, either or a couple guys finance working with can just keep those small purchases going through it. As long as we don't see the error code we were receiving last week for the next couple days, that test will be good. And then really the only next thing we need to do is just a couple bigger purchases for those tokens. Like I said, we're not doing it to get the rewards, we're just doing it to push the bigger buys through the system. And as long as that's good, I feel pretty confident that we're good to go live.
Is that the error code that you're referring to? Is that the one that you're screenshotting sent to me yesterday?
Yes, yeah, the one that we kept seeing.
Yeah, it indicated that the devs were working on the site.
Well, that's kind of what they were telling me at first, but then I kept seeing it. Like they're like, "Oh, we're working on it right now." So that's why I was telling you, like, "Oh, they said they're working on it." That's why I was receiving it. But then I kept receiving it, and then they kept telling me, "Hey, you need to clear your cookies and cache." And I was like, "Dude, I've done that. And you can't expect people to just constantly clear their cookies and cache. So this isn't the issue. And you guys need to rework how it's feeding the information to the API because there's obviously some issues going on here. And I get that it's only showing up, maybe 1 out of 10. And it's not an issue like the transaction's not going through. It's not an issue like people aren't receiving their tokens. It was an issue where it wasn't actually giving them per the credits, right? So, and that was it, right? Everyone was getting their tokens and everything, but I want to make sure that we're working 100% where the referrer is getting their points. You know what I mean? I don't so that was really it. And then they spent like 2 days reworking something, and supposedly it's, all good now, and that's why I just want to do a thorough test, to make sure we don't get that
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we don't want any admin to have to go through and track that stuff manually.
The cool thing is we've been able to, or Shaka's been helping, because Shaka's been building stuff lately. He's helping build the automatic payment system, not automatic like the phone single purchase. The payout happens, it's still a month basis, but it tracks everything, and then with just a couple clicks of the site, I can get everyone paid out automatically. So that's super cool, and he's built special features in there to where if something does happen, we can add them after the fact and stuff like that. So as far as the automatic payment, we're actually ahead of the game there. It's completely done. We've done testing and everything. We're just making sure the tracking is constantly always tracking every purchase. We have no hiccups there.
Yeah, that's because that's going to be very important for people.
Yeah, I just, when we released it, I wanted 100% done, looking 100% flawless, even if it's only 1 out of 20. That's not great. I want it 100%.
And that's not the pTGC way anyway, man.
Yeah. That's what we want.
Agreed.
Well, good, man. Appreciate all the hard work on that.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. Like code and stuff that's always on tape. So, like getting that information is always there, and it's always to where this is a buy that's happening on tape, but gathering the data, like technically can be grabbed from blockchain. Like we can get that transaction happen and look at how much they purchased, but the storing of the data set isn't blockchain, it's on the site from the API. So it's a little bit different, but just for everyone listening, like this doesn't have anything to do with pTGC's code, right? This is just
good point.
An additional product that is kind of running on its own. It doesn't affect pTGC whatsoever. Doesn't affect UFO whatsoever.
Does the API clear after each batch?
No.
So you have a constant, ever-growing database of transactions?
Yeah, we're going to have all the history of this forever because what we've changed in the last couple weeks, we weren't storing all of this data, but we ended up deciding we want all this data. We were just storing the quantity of value each month that was getting purchased under each refers. But now we're storing timestamps, transaction hashes, person who bought, like their wallet address, also quantity of people that buy under that refers thing. So we have now, and you can go to the site and view it all. It's all right there now. So now we have all this great data to constantly be looking at not only the amount of value that's spent. So like not before we were just saying like, oh, Banana onboarded $100,000 this month, but now we're tracking also the quantity of pTGC that Banana onboards in that month as well. So now we're gathering a ton of super good information also.
Yeah, and just to break it down by transaction, you can see like the latest transaction will be at the top. If you click on view all under a referrer's account.
Are you bringing this up right now, Banana, on your YouTube?
Yes.
So if anyone wants to see it, you can hop on to Banana's YouTube. He's showing it right now. Just to put that up there.
Sure. Latest transaction on top, dollar value spent. And will that remain fixed? It won't fluctuate with price, correct?
No, it doesn't fluctuate with price. What that's tracking is the amount of value that's spent in that exact moment. So At the beginning of the month, if someone bought $10,000 of pTGC under your refer link, it's going to it's going to note $10,000. If pTGC goes up 2x throughout that month, it's not going to 2x that value. It's going to hold that value of you onboarded $10,000 at this time, where it's also tracking the quantity of pTGC that you've onboarded. So you could at any time look at the amount of pTGC that you've onboarded, and you can check what that pTGC is worth at that point. Yeah. So the dollar figure isn't what the pTGC is worth at that point in the month. It's tracking the exact dollar amount that you onboarded with the specific time stamps of each onboard.
Yes. And then right next to the value is the amount of pTGC carried out to 2 places beyond the decimal. And then the address that bought pTGC, you know, the referee, and then the transaction hash. So you've got 6 different columns with all the important information. I mean, you get everything with that transaction hash. You know, Polygon asks, does the leaderboard reset every first of the month, or is it? I think it's going to be ongoing, right?
No, it resets. So
okay.
The leaderboard will then, the current leaderboard will shift to previous. You see how at the top, the current and previous. So we'll always have on this site the current and the previous, but technically we're gonna have all this information stored forever.
Right.
So this is what's visible on the site, but we do have all the information. I think Shaka might even make all that information on his site public once we really start to get this thing going.
Okay. But is it the transactions for the referrer that are ongoing and just pile up forever?
Transactions?
Or the transaction list on the, like on view, you can see all the transactions. Are those going to reset also at the end of the month?
I would assume they would reset. I guess I'll see when this month flips over.
Okay. Shaka says, I will be adding a page to the dashboard that will display additional stats, leaders, etc. Just FYI. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I would like the transactions to start over too. I'm hoping that's how they've designed it.
Yeah, everybody can track their totals if they wanted to on their own. That way too, you can have a little contest with yourself, and try to always improve. And because it's fine to be a leader on the board, but then you got to push yourself too. Like, I want to onboard more this month versus last month. And honestly, that depending on the market cycle, totally depending on the market, but as our influence increases, our onboarding should also increase.
Well, one reason I think having the additional information helps a lot too for people like you, Banana, right? You have your social media platforms, you have your YouTube, where you can put your reward link pretty much anywhere. Well, if you didn't have like all the transaction hashes, the wallet addresses, it would be very difficult to kind of track as buys are coming in under your reward link, because it might not be from a direct onboard where you're like helping walk him through.
Mm-hmm.
It could happen while you're sleeping, technically, right? People could stumble across your video, or there could be people stumbling across your page and they stumble across your reward link. Well, when you wake up in the morning, you can be like, oh, look I picked up a buy under my reward link for $5,000. Cool. Bro. I made $100 because someone found my YouTube video or someone was reading through my tweets or however, right?
Yeah.
And now you kind of have the timestamp on that, the transaction hash on that, and then also the quantity of pTGC and the dollar value that they spent at that time.
Yeah. For people that like that, and who doesn't get that little, what do you call the little hit of dopamine every time you get a message on your phone or whatever? You talk about a dopamine hit when you go to your computer and somebody just bought some pTGC with your referral link. Whoa. And that just, it would be motivation to get it out to more people, right? This is going to be, I'm going to tell you what, man, for people are going to get, I was just listening to, what's his name? Fast Abdul this morning. And he was talking about making habits. Like if we can get, he was relating it to ProveX. And he's like, if we can get people to use ProveX 3 times and like it, every time they want to do a transaction that would involve ProveX, guess where they're going? ProveX. And I was trying to relate this to the referrals somehow. But, you know, for the referrers, when their referral link is used, it's going to be very exciting for them. And it's going to make them want to get their referral link used more. It's just a human nature dopamine hit habit thing. And it has, I'm really liking this referral system for all of that, especially the dopamine hit, man. Open up your computer and who knows what you can find. You know, you never know from day to day. When you put that referral link out into cyberspace, anybody can click on it, man. Shaka says the dashboard will have a fully detailed history of every referrer by month. I like that. That way it sounds like you can go look at your own history. That'll be really nice.
Yeah, he was even showing me some of the stuff which he's been working on behind the scenes, and it even shows you like the tokens that you have pending that haven't been paid out yet, and then it even marks them once they're paid. So you could go over there and be like, okay, wow, I have all these pTGC's rewards pending, and then when the payout happens, it will check them off as being paid as well. So instead of like having to really look into that wallet and make sure you're receiving it, you can actually check on his site and see that they've paid out.
Okay, so I'm going to say this out loud. We've been waiting for this thing, but it's going to be worth it. The more I hear about the development of this referral system, it's going to be worth it, man. Because it was very, very basic, a very, very basic idea and system when we first started out, and it has improved a lot.
Yeah, you know what? It's obviously taken longer, but it taking a little bit longer than expected has like put us at this such an interesting time on Pulse Chain too.
Yeah.
Like, I think Pulse Chain hit all-time lows this morning.
Yeah. This morning. It did yesterday.
It did yesterday. Okay. Yeah. I didn't fully get to look at the charts, but I looked at the price. I'm like, oh, I think that's an all-time low. Obviously pTGC is correlated with Pulse Chain, right? So we're hitting very, very discounted prices on pTGC as well. Super good DCA onboarding opportunities for people. And this doesn't have to be people on Pulse Chain. This could be people on other blockchains. This could be people in real life. But now you're going to be rewarded in pTGC for onboarding these people. Obviously, for us as a Pulse Chain community, stepping outside the Pulse Chain ecosystem and trying to onboard Binance people or Ethereum people or Solana people to this chain, this doesn't just help us. This helps all of Pulse Chain. Any value that comes over that bridge and gets into Pulse Chain first helps everyone on the chain. But what's cool about it is you're also earning yourself, right? Like the larger numbers, let's say you were able to onboard $100,000 to pTGC in a month, you earn $2,000, but you're earning that $2,000 in pTGC at the bottoms, like at some of the cheapest prices of Pulse Chain, literally the all-time low of Pulse Chain, and very cheap prices of pTGC. If you believe in Pulse Chain being successful, just like DCAing, you're scooping the exact bottom prices. So, you know, yeah, maybe you earn $2,000 now, but if Pulse Chain goes up 10x, you know, let's say pTGC does a 20x in that time period, we have 2x with reflexivity. You know, you're not earning just $2,000. It would would be the $2,000. If you're a patient, you didn't sell it, right away. You would have the $2,000 times the 20x, right? So you would actually be sitting at $40,000 for that onboarding you did in these really difficult times. Obviously, onboarding in difficult times is harder, but you're going to reap the rewards of doing it in those difficult times. And if you are going to onboard, like doing it at the all-time lows of Pulse Chain is obviously the most difficult, but also probably one of the safest times to onboard people into the chain. You're getting them in at literally the cheapest prices we've ever seen.
Yeah. Yep. Well, Polygon asks, if someone creates a referral link while they are on a referrer's link, will it be tracked? I'm not certain that I follow that question exactly, but I think I know what's happening here is he's thinking, if I've already clicked on a referral link and when I go to the site and I see the referral link on the transaction page, the onboarding page, can I make my own referral link? No, I'm correct. I don't think you can.
No,
you have to.
He can still make his. So he's being referred by someone, but he can still create his own referral link.
Oh, I see.
He then could pass along to, whoever he wants to earn rewards from onboarding. Right.
Yeah, I see. I see where you can do that. I'm showing it on the screen. Yep. You're absolutely right. I do like that the referral links are very sticky. Like once you click on a referral link, it's very difficult. It's not very difficult. I overstated it, but you do need to clear your cookies in order to make it go away. And it's kind of attached to the wallet. Whenever you go to transact from that wallet, it will fill in. That's what I've found, Zen, is even if I clear my cookies, like I did this complete reinstall, and then I went to this site, and as soon as I connected that wallet, it populated a referral link. Unless I'm missing something. I was pretty shocked.
Everything it shouldn't if you weren't like literally copying and pasting that refer URL. But if you just typed in the new site and you had your history cleared, your cookies cleared, and your cache cleared, it shouldn't throw that back in because all that history has been wiped. That would be like a brand new user getting onboarded. If they just go to the website, right? If they just typed in the website, or if the person that referred them didn't have a referral link, like they don't care about the reward, but they're still actively onboarding, it's not going to put you on just someone's referral link. But yeah, if you got onboarded from Banana and then you didn't actually pull the trigger right then, the next time they kind of search up the site, it's going to push you into Banana's referral link because of the cookies and cache and history.
Right. Polygon says, will someone be able to tell how many referrers they are responsible for signing up? I don't know. Yeah. You can see all the different wallet addresses, but not
you can see who's purchased under your reward link. You can see who's you can see the quantity of people who have created, the referrer links, as long as people have purchased under, if they've gotten a purchase, because when they get a purchase, that's when they populate up. But you don't know who has created those off of who you've onboarded.
Right. Yep. So this is going to be a lot of fun, man. It's going to be a super lot of fun. I'm excited for it. So the metrics that Shaka was talking about, is that going to be on his site or this one, the new site?
That's going to be on his dashboard.
Okay.
So what you see right now on the main pTGC site, that's what's going to be there.
Okay.
From what I understand is he's going to be even gathering more information and creating a very in-depth dashboard for people who are really into the reward system and want to track like their payouts, what they've received, like a lot of information.
Excellent. I want more information.
And can I ask real quick if we can switch gears for a minute? I was wondering if I could just get from you a little bit more of a redirect on the system for a minute. And I just woke up this morning and I see like we're at 20. I think it's like 20, just under 23 million market cap. Was there some early end locks you guys know that took place? Or what are you seeing? Because I know you monitor the system like a crackhead, just because that's just what you do. And I've just kind of been on a vacation for the last 30 days. So I'm just wondering if you can give me like an update just for the recording and for people listening as to what you see going on. Just general overview. You know, just from your thoughts.
So price being down, I'd say mainly is just Pulse Chain hitting all-time lows. Also, a lot of our bonded assets going down as well. There's obviously been some people taking profits here and there as well, or just taking some value off the table due to I believe, I don't know, I believe it's because a lot of bear market kind of talk is being pushed around, and I think some people are like, ooh, I need to, I want to get some value in stables, or maybe they need some value to pay bills and they're afraid of it going lower. I don't know why some people have sold, but I've also seen some people buy too, right? I've seen some users, taking advantage of the prices that are in front of us right now. So what I think we're seeing is a distribution phase of some users who have kind of hit their time span of like, gosh, I'm here longer than I expected, and I'm going to take a little bit of value off the table. And then you also have some people who are like, wow, I've been watching pTGC for 2.5 years now, and this was some of the pricing that I was looking for pTGC to hit for me to, get a shark position or get a dolphin position or, start making my way to a shark position. So we kind of have a distribution phase, I think, going on right now, due to where the prices are, and then also due to what the market is telling us. Are we going into a bear market for a little bit? Some people that scares. Some people look at that as opportunity and are just locked in and saying, hey, where the prices are right now, I'm not willing to sell at. So I'm locked in, and let's get onboarding, let's get educating, and let's grow through this next 6-month, 8-month period if that's actually what we're in.
As far as unlocking, there haven't been any major unlocks. I've been tracking that a bit.
Are we seeing what is like the average volume as you guys are watching, as dead as the entire space is right now? Not just Pulse Chain, but what is the volume looking like if you're pulling it out, like maybe over the last couple of weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks? What is the average volume per day that the system is working with?
I'll just look it up if you can give me a second.
Sure.
It looks like that, well, in the last week, $340,000 on pTGC. Divided by 7, that's
Are you
about
pulling that on Secreto Bank, or where are you pulling that
the
from?
new site. That's
You said 350,000?
340,000, 48,570 per day, which from my perspective is decent.
So that's very odd. That's very interesting, right? Because that's basically the same amount of volume at our all-time lows, at a much higher valuation of the chain. So would you say, Zen, that $50,000 a day in volume after the 2.5 years of collecting information, it's almost like no matter where the chain is, right? That's kind of like the baseline for the system.
So
right around that on average.
Yeah, so our daily volume is $71,000. Our weekly average is $42,000. Our monthly average is $48,000. Our 3-month average is $55,000. Our 6-month is $94,000, and our 1 year is $195,000 a day. Obviously, in the 6-month and the year, we have some higher prices on Pulse Chain. So we know when prices are higher on Pulse Chain, our volume levels are higher because more value is being moved from arbitrage bots, and there's also more users and more value on the chain. But yeah, looking at the last 3 months, our average through the 1 week, the 1 month, even today, and the 3-month is all roughly around $50,000. And we know in the last 3 months, Pulse Chain has been pretty much at all-time lows the entire time.
I refreshed my screen, and yes, the numbers you just mentioned are true. They're inaccurate.
So that's just to round it. That's about $20 million a year in volume if you round it up just a little bit. So these are kind of like all-time low, numbers, right? So that's $1 million in pure revenue generation per year at all-time lows, if I'm correct.
Yeah, so the amount of volume we've done in the last year, if you just want like the real number of the last year, is we did $71.4 million of volume in the last year with pTGC.
Okay, so that's teetering on upward of almost $3.6 million in cash value generation.
Yeah, 3.572. So
Yep.
$3,572,000 of value generation in the last year.
Very impressive, man, for the environment.
Yeah, Pulse Chain, the highest price of Pulse Chain in the last year, I think, is 406. So just slightly above SAC price, with a large majority of that. Actually, you know what I think would be fun to look up? I can look it up in a sec. It's just what the 365-day average is, what the average price for Pulse Chain is in that time period. Because if we know what the average price for the last 365 days is, we kind of can see what pTGC can create within that average price, right?
Yeah, I would imagine it's probably like a 4 zeros and like a 6 or 7 or something, maybe.
The average price? No
Yeah.
way. No, it's probably 403 or 404.
Over the course of 12 months?
Yes.
Damn.
Yep. I'm looking at it on the chart. Just shooting from the hip. Oof. Let me see here. I think it's going to be around 403.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel like Pulse has been down at that level for that long, but maybe we're just getting old in this system.
Yeah, and where we're at right now is really going to reduce that average. All-time lows, baby. But pTGC, where is it on ratio right now? I haven't looked at it. 6.67. I'll take that all day long. That's so good, man. I love pTGC. Yeah, when this chain turns around, pTGC is going to rock it.
Prairie,
Real quick, Mando, I just pulled it up. It's 4031 is the 365-day moving average for Pulse Chain.
Nice. It's kind of nice to have some moving averages now that the chain's been out a little bit, right? We actually have a 365-day moving average.
Yeah, and then you can see, so like that's the moving average, that's the average price of the chain, and what we've done in volume is that 71 million. We've done $3.5 million of volume with the average price of Pulse Chain at that. So if we can get the average price of Pulse Chain, let's say at
it's not 3.5 million in volume. That's 3.5 million in revenue generation.
Yeah, in revenue. Sorry if I said volume. If we can get the average price of Pulse Chain, let's say back to 301, like that, the price an average person paid, that means we could probably get our value generation very easily up to $10 million a year.
Yeah, and that's literally with the same amount of volume. Or is that volume? Do we need to go from a $50,000 a day volume to $150,000 a day because of the price?
Yeah, we would pick up. You have to pick up the volume times 3x, but I'd say that's pretty easy if the price of Pulse Chains, the average price of Pulse Chain is up 3x as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're going to have 3x more, not 3x more value on chain, but technically 3x more value on chain and more user interaction, more humans, right? To get Pulse Chain from the price it is today to sacrifice price, you're going to need more users over here. You're going to need more value over here. You'll need more volume over here. And then also the arbitrage bots will have to move 3 times the amount of value throughout that year too. Makes it super easy for pTGC to hit those numbers. I actually think us evenly going up is actually us being very modest, right? I actually think it'll increase faster as Pulse Chain goes up due to us working off of reflexivity and a lot of our pairs having reflexivity. And then also assuming that a portion of that value that comes into the chain, they make it go up, from here, it's very close to 10x, right? If you look at the price of Pulse Chain right now, we would technically need to do a 10x to even get near those levels. Well, if that much value starts coming into Pulse Chain, there's a good chance that a lot of that value makes its way to either pTGC or some of the assets that pTGC is connected to besides Pulse Chain, like Pulse X or Hex or Most or whatever, right?
Interesting.
And then, how do we get the price moving up? It's
marketing.
A lot of it starts with the community. We have to find our floor, and then we have to kind of go back to our roots and onboard one by one, onboard with YouTube, onboard in real life. This goes for Pulse Chain as a whole. But that's one thing I'm super excited about with pTGC having its new reward system is you're not only onboarding people to some of the most sustainable projects on the chain with the most active community members, but also you're being rewarded directly for your efforts, to where a lot of times within cryptocurrency, you're putting all these efforts in, but you're not directly rewarded for your specific efforts. And I think that's super unique to this protocol now.
Mm-hmm. I think the reward system's going to onboard a lot of people. It's my opinion. And we're going to get more vocal on YouTube. We're going to be streaming. I mean, honestly, we have not been streaming at all in the last months. Our community streams, but as far as getting, being invited onto other people's channels, I just haven't been doing it, but we're kind of savoring it. We've been saving it for when the market turns around, but perhaps with the reward system in place, we have one stream lined up, maybe that will lead to more, depending on what happens on the chart. That will lead to more streams, even outside of Pulse Chain turning around for us. We can have our own little bull run here in pTGC. And there are thankfully streamers, influencers on Pulse Chain that are willing to have the grays on.
Yeah, you've got to really tailor make and be strategic on, in my opinion, even a rollout of the system like this. There's even an argument to be made that you may even want to, and I'm not saying to do this, I'm just saying that there's an argument that to be made to just wait to even launch something like this until the market turns around, but we wouldn't do that. because there's no need to do that. But in terms of how you sell it, not sell it, but tell it, right? In what I believe to be a bear market, it's going to be interesting, because the pitch is that the opportunity is when everything is down, right?
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting to see because I do think that 125 was the top of the market, and in my opinion, we're already we don't have much farther to go. I think Bitcoin maybe 60,000 at the 200 SMA and maybe 50,000 at the 300-week moving average. So there's only like 8 months left to go or so. If in fact the 125 was the top, it's that goes by just like that.
Yes.
So it's really who are we hitting that likes to buy cheaper prices? I mean, pretty much everybody likes to buy quality at really, really cheap prices. The thing that I think is the most impactful, though, is for me, it's just talking about pTGC and the uniqueness of this specific cryptocurrency, regardless of Pulse Chain or not.
Yep.
I think that hindsight's 20/20, Zen. Looking back at everything that's transpired, and I do got to give some love to Richard because there's just been way too much hate on the guy. I think that he delivered everything that he was supposed to deliver. And I think that his main thing is creating the thing that he always talked about when he started it with Hex was security and robustness and not your keys and not your coins. And that philosophy that's all built into Pulse Chain. And he keeps upgrading those kind of things, right? The ProveX. He keeps kind of upgrading the philosophical undertones of what he's always believed that blockchain should represent. He delivered the chain, then he delivered the win with the SEC, but he did top blast at Ethereum because Bitcoin got front ran. The all-time high of Bitcoin front ran the halving, which threw everybody off this market cycle. So I can't blame him there for that. But I think that it's obvious that Richard had every intention and has tried in terms of the price action to do things. But even this last move he did with PulseX last month, and he even kind of jokes about it, like, hey guys, somebody bridged in like a couple $1 million and pumped it, and it immediately got sold into, sell pressure kind of a thing. It's just obvious that now looking back, he couldn't determine a limp dick $5,000 ETH, right? He couldn't determine that. You're not a god. You can't determine everything. Mm-hmm. So I think it's obvious that this cycle has become the cycle that basically was the launching pad for Pulse Chain, as opposed to which the chart would look more like a Dogecoin or a Tron or a Polygon than it would be indicative of, an Instapump. So I think that on a market turnaround, that is indicative of, wow, this chain's been here a long time. There's a ton of people that know about Pulse Chain now. There's been a lot of marketing. And that is indicative of an opportunity for speculators. But when it comes to Pulse Chain itself, I don't personally see anything else on Pulse Chain worth a shit compared to pTGC at this point. Yeah. And that's not to be disrespectful to anything or anybody. There are some great protocols, but they only really work if there's volume and users and people utilizing the actual protocols, right? So the unique thing for me about pTGC is that it just keeps doing this machining, this mathematical machining with the capital that it's generating. It's just such a unique feature, that's built in. And I think that between now and 8 months, I guess my question for you would be, just kind of me setting the table for that, Zen, is if the top was 125, we're technically around 8 months from a bottom. You there?
Yeah, I'm listening. Was that the end of it?
Sorry, I had a call come in. We're technically about 8 months from a bottom, right? So in your mind and in the Dow's mind, this might be a good just thing to talk about, because we're talking about the referral system a lot, but a lot of people want to know about the asset and the system and the Dow's mindset behind where we're at currently now. If we've got 8 months or so from the top left to hit the bottom, if the 300-week moving average is around 50,000, which it is, which is generally indicative of the bottom of a bear trend.
Real quick, Mando, is that the price right now, or is that where you're like projecting it will be if those two match up? Because the reason I ask that is because obviously for the last year, so Bitcoin has spent a lot of its life above 100K, and
I'm giving you up-to-date moving averages. I'm not. The moving averages always change.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. So if we go, let's say 3 months, let's say we're slowly going down for 3 months, very slowly. Well, that moving average is going to be increasing, and eventually they could touch, but they might not touch the 300 weekly moving average. Might not touch Bitcoin's price at 50K. It actually might touch it at 60K because of the last year's average price of Bitcoin being over 100K. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that we can look right now at what the 200 SMA and the 300 SMA are right now from the top, right? Let's just put it at an even 60,000 and 50,000, something like that. Let's just make it easy, right? Let's just say Bitcoin comes down to the 50,000 range. And let's just say that the top was 125, and that gives us around 8 months, right? For you, what if we're averaging about 50,000 in volume a day before we see a turnaround? See, I actually think ETH is going to have a massive run. So that's good for Pulse Chain because we're an ETH fork. All the stables, everything that is enterprise worthy, bank worthy, all the stable coin action, about 85% of it is all on Ethereum, right? So it's good for a system state fork from the technology standpoint. It's just as solid as a rock. But I guess what I'm saying is, if we've got 8 months, which is not that much time, to be real honest, what are we looking at right now? I mean, what is the plan in your mind for what we're at?
Yeah, so obviously with the DAO, it's, I try to constantly talk to the community and to the people who want to give their opinion on how to use that funds, because it's not really just me. It's, it's a group of the larger holders of pTGC and how those funds are spent. Obviously, a portion of it, I hope, goes to rewarding our community via the onboarding page. I hope a portion of it starts creating some LP pairs with more traditional assets, because what we've seen so far is they're great value generation sources as far as the machine goes. And then also it kind of creates a portion of the liquidity web that doesn't move as lockstepped with the RH tokens. So what we've found in the last year, due to there not being a lot of external demand on specific Richard products, besides when like Richard starts buying a ton of PulseX, or there's for some reason some massive shift, where the first year and a half we saw those shifts more often because there was a lot more speculating going on Pulse Chain as far as with external value. But in the last year, this has kind of slowed down a little bit to where we can generate more revenue from assets that don't have so much Hart's Law together. So like you'd see with an ETH, the ETH pair actually does fairly well because it's not moving so tight locked with the other RH tokens. Also, just like you said, ETH pretty much has every bank and institution and company that matters building on top of it right now. Should be good for price. Should be good just as an addition to the web that, you know, doesn't hurt. Also, obviously want to focus on buy and burns. LP ads with Richard's tickers. I feel like we could add a little bit, but I feel confident in the code just adding to the main PLS pair every single day. You know, as time goes on, we know that pair is getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
And well, the main thing with that too is that, you know, as the price of Pulse is going down, it's not even about the USD value. You're getting way more coins. You know,
we're getting a lot of Pulse. That's one thing I think a lot of people don't realize about the pTGC machine. When you're in pTGC, you don't even need to be DCAing. The machine is DCAing every single day because we're generating revenue every single day, even if it's $1,000 or $3,000 or $5,000, whatever it is, right? Every day is different based on the volume. But if you're in the system, we're DCAing with APY because we're earning more pTGC. We're DCAing because we're buying and burning the supply. And then we're also every single day adding more LP with PLS. As PLS gets lower and lower and lower, we're getting that PLS into liquidity at lower and lower and lower prices, which is more quantity of tokens for when it's go time. If that's soon or if that's in 8 months, we're very, very well bolstered up in that category. And it's just getting better and better every single day.
Yeah, it's been interesting watching. I like the fact that the DAO's stabled up. I like the fact that there's like a DCA strategy into ETH apparently right now. It'll be interesting to watch over the next 8 months how much of a massive stack the DAO builds up. You know, let me ask you a question. And please, guys, anybody come up and chime in and ask your questions and ask questions to Prairie live on YouTube. We're just having a conversation here. Yep. I wanted to ask Zen a few things, and we haven't been able to do it on the back end. But the difference between stack, let's just make the conversation simple. I think the DAO right now has like just under 4 ETH. I think it's got like just under 40 grand in stables and almost 5 billion Pulse, just literally just sitting there and just dollar cost averaging into assets as it's going down, right? So there's like this really powerful dollar cost averaging strategy to stable up some. And then on the legacy assets, obviously a $2,600 ETH or whatever is like a 50% haircut from its all-time high. So I mean, starting a DCA here, if you're not trying to be the guessing boy, it's not a bad thing to do. You could obviously wait longer, but my question is the difference between just stacking the assets versus creating LPs at a strategic time, and the strategy of the DAO as to the deployment of those things or the pairing of those things based on where you're at in the market. So for example, like stacking ETH all the way on down. So we basically think that, technically a standard 4-year cycle would be in 8 months. We should see a bottom, right? At that point, that would be when you're looking to create those new pairings, or just hold some of it in the treasury in order to do massive buy and burns on the way back up. Just looking for just a good overview on the strategy for new people and how the system works.
Right now, what we're planning to do as a community, and obviously this can change, kind of taking a very diversified approach, right? Like if you look at the Dow right now, it's more diversified than it's ever been. It's worked in our favor greatly because Pulse Chain just went to all-time lows, and we kind of started this diversified approach with some stables and some ETH. We started a few months ago or a couple months ago. So that value wasn't as lost as much as it would have been if it was all waiting in Pulse, etc. So moving forward, it's kind of the plan to just stay in that diversified approach. Obviously Pulse Chain's our main go-to. It's what I believe is actually going to make pTGC a top 25 cryptocurrency eventually because of the X multiplier and us being able to get X's out of Pulse Chain and Pulse X and Hex and these other LP pairs that we have on top of the X's we have. We know that ETH can't do the X's that we really want to get us into these top levels. So, we believe Pulse Chain will do that stuff for us, but that doesn't mean we can't have diversification in what we're taking in for the DAO, not only to buy massive dips if they come, right? If Pulse Chain goes on a massive dip, we now have stables to take action with buy and burns. Or if Pulse Chain goes on a dip, we have ETH to take action with buy and burns and scoop up mega dips. If that dip never comes, well, we have Pulse Chain being built up. We have Pulse Chain being DCA'd every single day into the LPs, etc.
Yep.
So, as of right now, I'm kind of just more focusing on a more diversified approach, not only focusing on LP pairs or only focusing on buy and burns, but kind of hitting all the categories until, the direction of the market and the direction of Pulse Chain becomes a lot more clear. And I think even once it comes clear, that diversification approach is going to do our community great. A lot of people within pTGC and UFO, they hold all of the RH tokens by holding pTGC, right? So like if they're in pTGC, if they're storing value in pTGC, they're holding some speculative plays, they're holding some P-copy plays, they're holding all of the RH cores. When ProveX comes out, we're going to get the LP pair right there. They're now holding ProveX. They're exposed to all this stuff via pTGC. And now what we're doing is we're actually, with the diversification, not only the RH cores, but also to some more legacy assets like Ether stables or hopefully eventually Bitcoin as well. We're also creating a diversification in that direction as well. Not only in LP, but also a little bit in reserves in case some mega opportunities present itself, which with the lack of liquidity that exists on Pulse Chain is 100% possible, right? Like if a big player wants out randomly in 2 weeks and they shoot the price down, well, we're going to scoop up a ton of pTGC for dirt cheap and burn that, right? And we have the capital sitting there to do so. But if that opportunity doesn't present itself and we start moving up from here, our community is still winning. We hold all these speculative assets that win super hard in an uptrend market. We've seen when ETH moves up, Pulse Chain's moved up more. We've seen when ETH moves up, Pulse Chain moves up more, and pTGC moves up even more than that. So just trying to set our community up to whatever environment that we're in, 2026 is a green year for pTGC. If it's a red year for ETH, if it's a red year for Bitcoin, if it's a red year for Pulse Chain, what we want to do here in pTGC is create a green year for pTGC. And I think that's possible with the machine and with the community and with the systems that we have set and that are still coming out. I really don't think it matters if we're in a bear market. When I look at the distribution that we have, when I look at the machine we have, the funds we have on the side, and the community that we have ready and educating, and the product that we have, it's good enough. Even with ETH going down or Bitcoin going down, we can go up. We've swam against the current many times before, and we've currently had a nice pullback, which is great. It's great for distribution, but I think we're kind of creating a floor here. And I think even if ETH needs to go a little lower, if Bitcoin needs to go a little lower, that doesn't mean we can't start moving up.
Is there any like goal, right, for certain LPs at a certain time frame, right? So obviously, a man without a vision will perish. A company without a vision and kind of knowing where they want to go with certain things, well, no legitimate company does that, right? Everybody has, you have a board and you have people that are sitting there and that are smart people, and they're saying, okay, based on everything that we've collected, this is where we want to be at in 6 months. This is where we want to be at in 12 months. What does it look like? What is the goal? Like, for example, like an ETH pair, or are we even thinking about that now? Like,
well, I think it's obvious that we're thinking about that. We're as we're taking in value through the system. Some of that value staying in Pulse Chain, some of that value is going to stables, some of that value is going to ETH, kind of, creating that the diversification.
Yes.
And that's kind of the direction right now. As far as specific numbers to create LPs, the stable one's an easy decision. Creating those stable coin LPs at higher
100%.
prices is kind of the goal, but keeping the value there on the side for whatever direction the market goes. So if the market goes lower, those stables can be used to actually bolster up the price of pTGC. So we're not making lower lows and not making the price go extremely low. So we can actually have sustainability over here, even though everything around us isn't as sustainable. And that's the power of the machine. If prices start moving up here, well, then we can start pairing some of that USDC up. And we got pTGC sitting there as well that we've purchased prior.
Yeah, I wanted to bring that up, Zen. What I'm seeing is that the Dow owns like about 1.3 billion pTGC already. And which means that, the Dow can really just focus on buying those other assets as the market goes down, and can also deploy those funds. If somebody wants to, sell a big position, like you just said, scoop up a shit ton of pTGC on the cheap if somebody wants to relinquish their position, right? And then that just adds to the treasury for large LP pairs to be created at what the Dow perceives to be the bottom of the bear market, which obviously gives the maximum amount of upward velocity to the pairings, right?
Yeah, sorry, I missed the tail end of that because I had some person showing up to my house right now. But
no, I was just saying that the Dow already owns like 1.3 billion pTGC, which is a lot of pTGC. Whether it's to burn it or to create LPs. So the fact that there's so much stables and there's ETH being created, being purchased and put in the treasury, and there's almost there's almost 22 billion PLS in the pTGC PLS pool right now.
Yeah, that's just one of the pools.
Yeah, that's just the main PLS wrapped WPLS pTGC pool. There's almost 22 billion in that pool at all-time lows. That's really, really strong, obviously, right? So I'm just saying that as the Dow is generating revenue and going into stables and going into ETH and DCing into these awesome assets, it's obvious that you would deploy whatever pairs that you want to deploy to enlarge the web at a perceived bottom of the market, because that's how you're going to get the velocity on the way back up.
The stables, I don't really agree with that. I think
I'm not talking about stables, man. No, stables, that's obviously when you want to buy your ETH or you want to buy more pTGC and you want to buy whatever you want to buy, right?
Or if they don't get used, like if those low prices don't happen, you could create those pairs at higher levels and then kind of bolster yourself up to numbers you're happier with, right? And then start 100%. To generate revenue off of those stable coin as well. Like that's one feature within pTGC we've yet to even really get exposed to, is when we kind of hit some higher numbers and we really big up a stable coin pool, that pool doesn't move, and then every other pool moves around it. So I think that'll be a great revenue source for our ecosystem as well. Obviously, we thought we were working our way towards those numbers, and then the whole entire market pulled back, like you said, when Bitcoin hit its 125, etc.
Well, I'm just saying, like, for example, you're not going to create a stable coin pairing at the bottom of a market, right?
No, that's what I'm saying. We kind of would hold on to those stable coins, and if prices go into an extremely good price zone, maybe use some of those stables to buy the pTGC at a really, really cheap price to create a more sustainable environment within the pTGC ecosystem. Like the goal with pTGC is, we want this to be a good long-term sustainable system, and we have so many tools to help create that. We now have onboarding tools. We have automatic buy and burns. We have strategic buy and burns. We have stable reserves, etc., to make this environment very successful. The goal this year is, I don't really care what the market does in the next year. My goal for pTGC is to us have a successful year. I want us increasing our community. I want us increasing our price. I want us increasing our distribution. I want us increasing our ratio against Pulse Chain. And we have so many tools and so many community members to actually do that. Yeah, swimming against the current is difficult, but it's not impossible, right? And with the ETH or with the stables or with the Pulse Chain or, and with the mechanical volume that we generate through movements, like I look at it like, hey, in Pulse Chain, we might be this exact same price by the end of this year. We might be lower. We might be a little higher. But with pTGC, I believe with the effort of the community and with the systems that we have in place, we can just make it higher. It doesn't matter if Pulse Chain goes lower. It doesn't matter if Bitcoin goes lower. It doesn't matter if ETH goes lower. We now are setting ourselves up with all these different that we could pull at strategic points to make it to where the users within the pTGC protocol win this year, right? And have sustainability and hopefully win the following year, etc. Especially if the market's flat. If we go green this year, market stays flat, and then the following year is green for the market, well, then that makes it that much easier for pTGC to have 2 green years. That's kind of what I'm excited for. And like, as far as specific plans for the DAO, it's very hard to have like specific plans because crypto and the market is always doing almost what everyone thinks it isn't doing, right? When Bitcoin front ran the halving cycle, and then, Trump went into office and people thought we were going to have a great few months up in front of us. And then that was pretty much the top. And just all those things, right? Just being dependent on external things. I think one thing that's cool about pTGC is we're not really dependent on external things. Everything that we need to be successful is right here in front of us. We have burnt liquidity. We have battle-tested code. We have a machine that's proven to generate revenue, which is way better than 99.9% of products out there. And now we have value generation sources for our community that are willing to be active community members, to where they can directly now earn passive rewards on top of what the machine is for them every single month.
So I think it's very powerful, Zen, that the DAO already owns like half of a whale position of tokens to be able to create LPs, because what that means is that until those tokens are used, there's no new revenue that needs to go toward buying that outside of buy and burns or just adding to the treasury, which means that it can focus on either buy and burns or it can focus on buying ETH or buying Bitcoin or buying whatever at the lows to create these liquidity pairings, right? To me, I think that 8 months from now, it's going to look, Zen, can you imagine the inflow of capital into pTGC with a confirmed reversal of pulse chain? And the reason why I'm saying that is because this system has 1,000% proved itself. It is no longer a guess if the system works. We're out of the proof of concept phase. And when we get a confirmed reversal of pulse chain, this is going to be the very first thing every freaking buddy buys, bro.
Yep.
And that's even before you talk about what the DAO already owns, what the DAO is continuing to bring in, the assets the DAO already owns, the amount of stables, the amount of ETH it will own 8 months from now. I mean, I think the DAO's only been buying a little bit of ETH for like the last 30 days, and it's already got almost 4 ETH in there. It's bought and burned a bunch of tokens. So I think it's going to see 8 months from now is going to be very interesting for this protocol.
Yeah, I think, knowing that the protocol, knowing that the DAO kind of wants that cheap pTGC, knowing that other protocols want that cheap pTGC, what I'm thinking of is UFO. Every volume movement on Pulse Chain triggers UFO, and that's buying and burning pTGC. UFO is bought and burnt, I think, 1.2 almost % of the supply of pTGC, and it's never going to stop. You have users who are obviously waiting on the sidelines to get exposed to pTGC. You have existing community members in pTGC that want more pTGC in their wallet, but are, obviously afraid of just prices going lower on chain and stuff. Once all those things, like you said, kind of hit a floor and stop sinking, right now we've been on Pulse Chain sinking for technically almost 3 years. If you look at the chart, it's been trending downwards, hitting new lows for the last 3 years. When we finally find that bottom, wherever that is, if it's near here, if it's a little lower, I believe we will have very little supply for the rest of the world and the rest of Pulse Chain.
Yep.
Right now, we're sitting at 3% of the supply, maybe a little bit more. Even if Pulse Chain goes lower, I don't think a lot of that supply is going to get back into LP. So let's say at most we're at 3.54%. We're at all-time lows of Pulse Chain. That's 3 to 4% of the supply for the rest of the world, right? If we have, like you said, any blip up on Pulse Chain, any environment that's better than going down into the right, like, dude, I'll be honest, I'll even work with just flat here at the bottom, and I think we'll be extremely successful. If Pulse Chain just sat here for the 8 months, the amount of growth I think we could do within the pTGC community would be massive. I think we can even grow if Pulse Chain keeps going towards lower prices.
Dude, if Pulse Chain just literally became a freaking stable coin, this thing could fly to the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been swimming against the current for 3 years or 2.5 years. It's been going down for 2.5 years, and we've still been able to make this much progress. And I almost don't even look at it as a negative thing. I'm actually starting to get to the point where I'm thankful for these tough times, because smooth seas don't create good sailors. Mm-hmm. All of this current that we've been swimming against has created a well battle-tested ship. Like, we are ready for anything at this point. This community is ready. The token has been tested in any environment you could imagine. And now we have new features coming out for our community to earn. Like, when Richard always says, like, what we have here is by far good enough, I truly believe that, not only for the blockchain, but for the product of pTGC and UFO. By just increasing the community by a slight amount, right? We have like 3,000 stakers right now. If every single staker just onboarded one buddy and we got 3,000 to 6,000. There truly is not even enough supply for that many dolphins. There's only 300 dolphin positions even on the market right now, currently like $3,000 a piece. Imagine trying to onboard 3,000 people to this product, and 3,000 people is nothing, is absolutely nothing. Tokens launch and within one day have 3,000 holders.
Yeah, it really is interesting. I had somebody contact me last night about, should they get into pTGC now, and do I think it's going lower and all these different things. And I'm looking at this thing at like almost a 20-something million market cap now, and I'm going, oh my God, because I know how it's designed, right? And it's obvious, man, that any uptick, any positive momentum of this blockchain and the people holding these tokens, there's 17,000 plus holders or wallets. Everyone that's already on the chain knows that this is the best asset on Pulse Chain.
Yep.
So if you have any kind of a reversal, it's just very interesting where we are at, because 8 months goes by just like that. Nobody in here is in dire straits or anything like that. 8 months goes by just like that. And all of a sudden, Bitcoin's bottomed. My BlackRock just came out with, $700,000 Bitcoin prediction. ETH, they're talking 50,000 ETH next cycle. I don't know where they're getting these numbers from. But what I do know is that the world's headed towards a digital currency world.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I do know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the headlines are. It matters what reality is.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's reality. I'm thinking about at least one, diehard Hexican. And he's like, come over here and tell my community about pTGC and UFO, by the way. He's not going to come out and tell his community about the Gray's currencies, but I know he holds it. I don't know for a fact, but he must, because he's like, Prairie Banana, I want you to tell my community what you know about. I want you to tell my community about pTGC and UFO so the chart goes green, and so that they hold these precious little assets. But I'm not willing to do it yet because I'm a diehard Hexican, and that's okay. He's being wise. But there's a lot of other ladies and gentlemen out there just like that. They're not going to say anything just yet. They're gonna need us to do it.
Yeah, I think that's retarded. I think it's great that he wants you to do that, but I think it's retarded. The whole I'm a diehard Hexican, so I can't talk anybody.
That's my opinion.
Are we here to be in a cult, in a religion, or are we here to make money for our families? Which is it?
Yeah. And that's all just my opinion. That's not him saying that. I'm just picking it up.
But let's be real. To me, was there day one, before day one. But to me, this suite of smart contracts is the apex predator on Pulse Chain.
Oh, yeah.
It's the killer dApp. It is Pulse Chain. If you own pTGC, you own Hex.
Yep.
You own Pulse. You own Pulse X. You own all of it. pTGC is Pulse Chain in a very real sense.
Oh, yeah, man.
But it's just better.
You don't need to hold all of those other assets, because we do hold pTGC.
I don't need to stake anything to earn yield. I don't need to become illiquid to earn yield if I'm after yield. The funny thing too is that if you go back and you listen to Richard's testimony when he got really into the nitty-gritty about Hex, he always said that the yield was just the cherry on top. A lot of people started to attack him and say, "Oh, you're telling people to stake out." He's like, "I'm not telling people to do anything. You're not required to stake your Hex.
Right.
He said, "Do you really care if you bought something for $1,000 and it went up to 10,000x? Do you really care that you got an extra 38% APY when you turned your $1,000 into 10 million?" No, you really don't. Like it's an extra cherry on top, right? So what's been created here is a system that's built on top of Pulse Chain that has proven to be the superior storage of value on the chain. That's not speculation. That's not my personal opinion. That's just freaking fact. It's math. Look at the charts. Look at the amount of burn. Look at the amount of rewards that's been paid out in the worst possible environment imaginable. Look at the performance. So
100%.
When we say, "Hey, I'm a Hexagon and I want you to," it's like, guys, think about your kids. Think about what you're really doing, why you're really here. It's not about being a freaking Hexagon or a Pulsagon or whatever we are again. It's about being an investor. It's about finding value, and it's about freedom. That's what it's really about.
Thank you, Durgan. Yeah.
I own a ton of Hex because I own a ton of pTGC. I own a ton of Pulse Chain because I own a ton of pTGC. I'm going to own ProveX because I own pTGC. Yeah. I'm going to own ETH because I own pTGC. Right? When people realize that, and then all of a sudden the market turns around and velocity turns around in green, it's always shitty when it's red, right? But when the velocity turns around, which it always does because it's always an ebb and flow, what is going to be the greatest beneficiary of the reversal?
pTGC, 100%.
In my opinion, not financial advice, there's without question. Because people are going to, even the haters, even people who hated before, what happens is these moments become the testing ground to prove or prove otherwise the true value and nature of a system, the true value and nature of a community, of a cryptocurrency, of a code, of the actual proof of concept of something, right? I truly believe that pTGC is past the needing to prove the concept part. The whole 5% go in, 5% go out. Oh, I don't want to buy something because there's a fee to go in and a fee. That's a bunch of BS. You're paying literal fees, dude. I just was talking to a buddy in Virginia. The Dems just kind of took over. They just kind of won the recent elections. 50 new taxes. Wow. Were just hypothecated in the state of Virginia alone. Whether you're setting up arrays, whether you're having big banks and your guys manage your funds, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Whatever financial products, you're paying a fee, right? To do you're literally paying a fee to breathe and take a shit in the morning. So to me, if you're looking at Pulse Chain, dude, we've been here for too long, and it is the killer DApp. It is the killer app. It is the representation of the chain. It's the representation of the best of the chain, to be honest.
Yeah, very, very much so. But it doesn't mean that we can't and shouldn't support other communities that are bringing other people onto Pulse Chain, because those people will eventually trickle down into the Grace currencies because they'll get exposed to it.
Oh, it has nothing to do with supporting or not supporting. Mm-hmm. I'm not waiting for that. We support everybody. We want everybody to win. Yep. I'm just saying I'm very, at this stage in the game, guys, I've been here a long time. You guys know that. At this stage in the game, I'm more excited to see what this protocol does on a reversal than anything in all of crypto.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I don't care what chain. Show me something better. Show me something that's cooler. Like, seriously, DM me with it. On any chain.
I still have a 10 million PLS bounty out for anything better than pTGC. Just that got to meet.
Remember, Prairie, I put that thing out like a year and a half ago. If you have something that is provably mechanically designed better, that does something that ticks all the buttons better than this, let us know, and we'll probably buy it and put it in the LP. I still have one person, not one freaking person, put something across my desk, dude.
I had 2 people respond to my bounty offer, which is still on Twitter. It's public, and I'll send it to you if you want to look at it. I had 2 people approach me about the same asset, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to pay this bounty. But when I looked into it, I was like, oh, they were way off. And I just explained it to them. No, it didn't come close to meeting the criteria, basic criteria. I should pull that up and tell you guys what it was. I got it on a sticky note here. I mean, it's got to have burnt liquidity, pays passive income. It's just some basic stuff that I had criteria that I had to meet. And there's nothing on Pulse Chain. Yeah, here it is. Has to have done more X's than pTGC since like the second week or something like that. Pays APY, no admin keys. 1 year or older. It's not a newbie. And it has to have more than $10 million in LP. $5 million of it burned. Find an asset like that has outperformed pTGC.
No inflation.
You could throw that in there. Yeah, but those are my criteria for 10 million PLS. And that's an ongoing, I might have to pay that one day. I hope not. But I mean, it's been 6 months, 8 months since I've had that out there, and nobody has claimed.
Yeah, no, trust me, bro. No, a portion goes to a group of guys who set it up. No, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. You just don't see it.
Yeah. So that bounty will probably go on forever, we hope. Extra says, dips are a blessing for any investor. When you shift to a units mindset, units of tokens is what he's talking about. With, disregard the price and look at the units that you can accumulate at these prices. When you shift to a units mindset, you learn to love red candles for what they are. Opportunity.
Well, think about it, Prairie. If we're literally only 8 months away from the bottom of a bear, which that would be a standard market cycle for Bitcoin, and we're sitting at a $23 million market cap, whatever it is, what is the, we're adding new users. We're about to put out a referral program. What is the likelihood that, think about it like this. How much lower can pTGC go? And then the DAO is able to buy up so much of those tokens and burn them. If it goes any lower, like the DAO is very strategic in the revenue that it has. And if you want to let it go 8 months before the bottom of Bitcoin, if this is in fact what's going on, if in fact we're wrong and we're going into a maturing market and Bitcoin reverses and starts to go back up from here, everybody was wrong and the market cycle is invalidated at this point just because the maturity of the market, dude, it's off to the freaking races at that point, in my opinion. So you're playing a game of, okay, the bottom might be in 8 months on a normal market cycle, and if it's not, it could be much shorter than that. In the meantime, the DAO is just stacking stables, stacking ETH, stacking, it's got a shit ton of freaking pTGC already for pairings. It's got 5 billion Pulse Chain. To me, it's just a setup for a massive move.
When you're talking about 8 months, is that 8 months from like January 1st, or was it from October?
That's October. That's the 125 top from
Okay.
October.
So you're talking about like June.
Yes. Well, technically, it's October. It's October to October. It's 365 days.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it would be 8 months. What I'm saying is like we're about to be in February, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't take a long time, man.
Okay.
Between now and then, I don't think that. I think that what I'm saying is I just think that it's going to be very interesting to see where we end up based on those basic metrics 8 months from now.
Mm-hmm. Or sooner. We shall see. I was listening to a gentleman, and I'm actually planning to clip it. This guy is heavy into the metals, like gold, silver. He owns a company. I think perhaps like I was thinking about you, and I was listening to the guy, and he was like, "Listen," and this was recorded, I think, in December or before the crash this week, the gold and silver crash this week or pullback, and he made it clear his opinion, but he's like, "Listen, guys, that gold silver pump that we've been experiencing is institutions getting their positions. It's not retail." He says retail isn't even in precious metals yet. And he says they're coming. And so I think that those metals may not have even topped out yet. I was thinking it was a blow off top and that they were done, but they may not be.
Oh no, dude! Blow off top my ass. I mean, you're going to always have a pullback. Nothing can just keep going up and up and up, and But if you understand what's going on behind the scenes with that whole system, there's a massive discrepancy, obviously, between the actual global exchanges, the Shanghai exchange, and the COMEX and the LBMA. So when you have a paper price on the COMEX of freaking $80, but in China they're spending $130 per ounce to buy physical, you have a massive discrepancy in the marketplace. So in China right now, if you just Google Shanghai, China, what's the USD price of silver in China, for example, it's over 120 an ounce.
Yep.
Think about that. So what the banks here are doing is they're hiking their margin requirements for contracts. Each contract represents 5,000 ounces. So they've been hiking up the margin requirements, which forces people in those contracts to pay money if their positions are about to be liquidated. Much more money. That's why we see what's going on with this massive manipulation going on. Anyway, that's a whole other freaking rabbit hole. But that's also now that's another thing though too, is that we could go over and go over and literally expose the community to gold, right? Wait for whatever we think the low is, because you could go over to Ethereum and you can grab Tether, XAUT, and you can pair it with pTGC, just like you can do it with Bitcoin and ETH and whatever else. That's why I think that ultimately pTGC could end up being looked at like it could end up being like this massive juggernaut. And this could literally just be the beginning of like this massive store of value juggernaut.
Oh yeah.
On the most obscure chain, and it's a $20 million market cap.
Well, that's why I'm excited for Walter. He says, sounds like a community of smart people not selling, buying more at these levels. He says, I'm an old guy. I just got into pTGC 2 months ago. Like, yeah, man, good timing, man. But he asked a tax question, and I'd never even thought about this yet. He says, do we need to like claim our reflections? Because my understanding is that, and I haven't looked this up, I'm not a financial advisor. I don't think any of us are, but perhaps we talk about opinions. Like, we don't need to claim anything but profit that we've taken from crypto, I think. But our reflections, do we have to claim reflections as profit, even if we haven't taken them, off chain? Any ideas?
if they're in the U.S. jurisdiction, technically, reflections are income. So, you're receiving a certain dollar amount of tokens every day just by holding it. So that would be the same thing as like if you're staked and you're earning money in any protocol, that's also looked at as income, right?
Yeah.
It's different than a capital gain or a capital loss. So yeah, technically, now I'm not a financial advisor or a tax person or anything like that, but what I do know is if you're staked and earning income, or if you're earning rewards, it's looked at as income.
Okay, that makes sense. Makes perfect sense. And Walter, we are looking for other old guys. I'm just saying. I know Walter's a good holder, and we're after those holders. So we're gonna have a referral system soon. Who else wants to come up and chat? Older guys tend to be better holders too. That's why I say that. Because I'm right there with you, Walter. I'm 50 plus. How many people are on Spaces today? I think we had 12.
So that's the thing too. ETH is at 2,500.
That's crazy, man.
It's crazy. See, what it is, dude, it's like the DAO is going to be able to DCA into these assets until they bottom.
Our highest volume to liquidity pair is that WPLS pair. I just love it. Why do I love it? Because that's our biggest pair, and it gets added to every other day. I mean, every day, day in and day out, regardless of human buys, because the AMM bots are paying the fee, and 0.5% of that 5% goes to that LP, the pTGC WPLS LP, the highest liquidity to volume ratio of all of our LPs. It's like, yeah, man, does it get any better?
Yeah. Bitcoin's at 80,000. See, I didn't even check the market before I got on today. Yeah, Bitcoin's at 80. Now, I don't know if you know, but Trump just announced basically the new Fed chairman.
Yes.
And he's a hawkish in the past chairman. In other words, like he's a strong dollar guy, right? So everybody was thinking that Trump was going to put a Fed chairman in there that was going to lower rates, and he chose a guy who would be the guy that wouldn't lower rates because he wants a strong dollar guy. And I think that the market is selling off based on this news, and I think that the guy's going to get in there and actually lower rates.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Zen's talking about. He announced the guy, and everyone's like, holy shit, what? Trump's been begging Powell to lower interest rates this whole time, wanted to get him out of there to lower interest rates. And then he hires the new Fed chair guy, or he doesn't hire him, but there's a process. And this guy would not be the kind of guy, based on his past history and his mindset, that would actually lower rates. So that's actually a headwind against things like gold and silver and Bitcoin, because that would mean that there would be less inflation. Higher rates means less inflation. But we all know that that's bullshit because this system is a 100% debt-based monetary system. Just like pTGC has built-in mechanics, this system, this current U.S. and all around the world monetary systems, they're debt-based monetary systems. They have to continue to debase the currency or you get a collapse. I don't care what the freaking rate is. So when you're talking about, our rate, we want the rate at around 2% inflation per year. It's absolutely hilarious to me that people think about that and think, oh, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I just want you to devalue my money by just 2% per year. Yeah, okay. While gold is up 150% and silver's up 300% against my dollar and milk is up 59%, and it's laughable what's happening, right? And then the Fed chair gets on and he literally says that he can't comment on the dollar because they don't really deal with the dollar. That's the Treasury Department. And he's asked about gold and silver, and it's like, yeah, we don't really care about assets like that here at the Federal Reserve. Literally gaslighting the shit out of everybody, dude. So that's why we had a big market correction, in my opinion, yesterday across the board, because what they thought they were going to get, they got something else. But I think that Fed chairman is going to get in there and he's going to lower rates.
Yes, that's my impression.
Which is going to be interesting. But he's also a bull on Bitcoin and crypto.
Yeah, the whole administration is. That's why they chose him. Decentralized Wealth asks, I just joined. I think he just jumped in. Did I get this correct that pTGC might pair with silver, precious metals?
Well, there's currently no trusted token, EVM token, that you can buy that represents SLV.
Okay.
But
I'm sure it's coming.
But we were talking about GLD. And there is with GLD, Tether deployed GLD, and it is 100% one-to-one backed with physical gold in the vaults.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that, you can just go to Dex Tools or Dex Screener and just type in Tether and then space gold, and you'll see that pop up. So that's, I do believe that one is coming because the valuation of silver is going up so quickly. I do believe that there will be something similar to that, but it's just not there yet.
I think Tether is holding something like 14 billion or 40 billion, something like that, of gold.
Oh, they have literally billions.
Uh-huh.
You're right. You're exactly correct. And the token that they deployed is backed by a portion of that gold that they hold at a 1-to-1 ratio, each coin representing 1 ounce of gold.
Wow.
So you can literally just go buy gold on the blockchain now, backed by physical gold.
Yep.
And you could have done it before with Paxos, but at the end of the day, Tether is Tether, and they literally own like 14, 15 billion. They own tons and tons of gold in vaults.
Mm-hmm.
They own more gold than anybody, except for like central banks and stuff like that. It's crazy.
Polygon says that the sell-off is from lack of clarity because of the Clarity Act not being passed. And I hadn't even heard about that yet. I knew it was going through, but apparently it was not passed. Is that true? I think it was a combination of things that caused the sell-off.
Yeah, but when Trump announced, the Fed chair, that's when you saw some things move pretty quickly. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it is what it is. But this is all opportunity for a revenue-generating system like pTGC.
Yeah. Extra Crypto says, yeah, that guy is pro crypto too. Oh, this is old. He has real estate interests in Greenland. Okay. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Next question. If a new LP will be added to pTGC, could that LP be on a different chain?
No, the LPs have to be deployed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, technically, yes, you could bridge it out and go somewhere else. But no, that wouldn't happen. You would anything that you're going to pair up with is going to be on Pulse chain. So you'd bring in the asset from another chain, you'd bridge it in, and then pair it, and that's how the system would get the max benefit from the volume and volatility on the chain.
Okay. So when was the last time pTGC was at this price? September 2024.
What was the price of Pulse Chain at that time?
Ooh. Okay, 9 September 2024. I'm looking on the weekly. pTGC was in this range. 408. Pulse Chain, early September. Yeah, good question. All right, let me get it on the weekly. September 2024. 9 September. Hold on. It was about 4035. Not, it was above the average for 2025.
I wouldn't cut it.
Question again, Perry?
The question is, okay, pTGC was at this same price range in September, previously September 2024. What was the price of Pulse Chain at that?
You can cut it, but I wouldn't.
Then you're going to have to mute.
Hey, to mute yourself out, dude.
Oh, sorry, guys.
That's all right. Just come back and let us know when you're back. Okay, so what was the price of PLS at that same time, September 2024? When
it was 4 zeros and a 3-2.
3.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is above the average for 2025. Which higher, you know?
Yeah, but I think his point is that pTGC is at this price, but at the same time prior, Pulse Chain is down 65% from where it was the last time pTGC was at this price.
Yeah.
So Pulse is down almost 70%, and pTGC is hitting the price it was at previous, which means that on a reversal, that's 65%. Just that alone, that's a 65% increase in the underlying LPs.
Yeah.
On just reversal of that, and that's with nobody buying pTGC.
Yep. Which they will be. Wow.
Well, see, that's the power that, look, man, these are the things that people don't. They would have no clue to even understand or look at with this thing, right? That's why Zen asked that question. Like, the last time pTGC was at this price, Pulse Chain was 65% more valuable.
Yeah. Yep.
And I can guarantee you the last time that pTGC was at this price, it didn't have headed toward 18,000 users.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were coming up on 10,000, if I remember correctly. I remember when we went over 10,000 users. Wasn't it in like the winter of 2024, 25? I want to say it was December. See if I can find out. Yeah, we've gained a lot of users in the last year.
The second, if there's a reversal, and there's a powerful reversal for Pulse Chain, and it starts to go up, oh my gosh, dude! I honestly believe that there's going to be a large influx of capital into this thing.
And that's not.
People would rather hold this. I'm telling you. Let me get out of this Pulse because I know what this thing's going to do, right? Oh, geez.
That's not even. I mean, I'd count on that. Not even factoring in the marketing that we're planning to do. You know, and you had the marketing, that just probably 3X's it, man. Charles says, breaking news, White House crypto summit will be held February 2nd to push the passing of the Clarity Act. Let's fact check that, guys. Get me something reputable from Twitter. Just drop a link in if you would.
Yeah, the issue is that these guys need to get these BS
but thank you,
things
Charles,
out of the bills that are never going to pass. And Coinbase CEO is looking at these things like a hawk. So there's a difference between the Genius Act and the Clarity Act, but they just have to make sure that there's no hidden BS. Like they were trying to prevent yield from being earned on stable coins, right? And you guys probably saw the affidavit that the CEO of Coinbase put out on that and said, I can't support this bill. Just completely took the bill backwards. There's no, CEO of Coinbase has a big following now, and obviously a lobby base. So yeah, it's obviously the banks trying to prevent competition from coming into the marketplace, but it's just not going to happen.
Okay, so we did cross 10,000 new wallets, 10,000 total wallets in December of 2024. And Blue Diesel says, I love that you guys stream this on X and YouTube because sometimes X bugs out for me and I have to keep dropping out. So, well, thank you for that. I'm waiting for this news, man. I'm going to go to Twitter and see if I can find something from Watcher Guru or anything like that. Who else wants to come up and chat? Does anybody have anything? What about Zen? Are you still tied up, Zen?
I'm here listening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was listening to you guys.
Watcher Guru says, just in, SEC Chair Paul Atkins says now is the right time to open the $12.5 trillion 401k retirement market to crypto. Like you were saying a little bit ago, Mando, everything's going on chain.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, like Mando was bringing up, we have the opportunity to add to pretty much anything that gets tokenized from here on, right? Like, obviously, our main focus right now has been the more speculative assets of this chain, the things we could believe that could, like, bring us up to that top 50 of cryptocurrencies to put us at, the light of mainstream. But, like, once we get there, obviously, we're adding with Pulse Chain with every single transaction. But we can also start diversifying. I see like Bitcoin is there, not only exposing our community, but also generating revenue off of it every single day. And then also pair with other tokenized assets like gold, LP pair, etc. And not only expose our community to it, but also generate revenue off of it. And it's a proven system that we've already been testing for 2.5 years that works, right? When you look at cryptocurrency, if you look that exist, really 99.9 of them are failures or were rug pulls or had a chance of succeeding because behind them never even planned on them succeeding, right? There's a lot of reasons assets fail, but the major reason is really they're never meant to. They're just meant to extract value from the user. Right off the bat, we're better than 99.9% of tokens. And then you go into that top 1%, good intentions, somewhat good ideas, and you actually study them and, and look at how many of those are truly generating millions of dollars of revenue. Very few.
You got to get your better place, Zen. You're breaking up bad.
Can you hear me better?
100%.
Okay. Yeah, very few exist, right? If you went 1,000 tokens that exist, very few of them need to exist or should exist, right? They maybe have good communities or have some scarcity or a reason to hold because they'll pay you APY and inflation or something like that, but very actually generate revenue. The ones that do generate revenue, a lot of them don't generate a lot of revenue because the revenue that they're generating is dependent on a user using a utility. Utilities don't even need to exist. They're just kind of strapped onto the side. So that's where I find pTGC very, very unique. Is it not only is scarce, it not only pays you APY, it's not only generating revenue, but it's generating revenue off of one of the only guarantees that the market offers, and that's the up and down movement. For the first 2.5 years, a lot of the up and down movement that we've been exposed to has been specific to this blockchain. But again, what pTGC is today is not what it's going to be 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. As it expands, we're going to also expand to different liquidity pairs. Obviously, it will become more scarce. Obviously, it will become more distributed. Obviously, the bought and burnt liquidity is going to be larger. And we are not only going to be exposed to this one chain, but we can also be exposed to other legacy blockchains that have good product market fit, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. But also other tokenized assets, like Mando was talking about, was Tether now having a Tether Gold, pretty much, and not that only has a ton of product market fit, because we know that in finance, one of the largest sectors is store of value. And in store of value, one of the largest sectors is by one you hold all. People love the idea of you holding one asset. You're actually holding a diversified portfolio of a lot of the things that matter. And there isn't truly one where the value is actually held all within liquidity and being used to generate revenue on blockchain yet. And I do believe that pTGC not only has been like the front leader in this idea with generating revenue off of these different liquidity pairs, but we're also set up to become that, right? If we can get ourselves in the top 50 of all tokens, top 25 of all tokens, and we can also expose not only the Pulse Chain users, but any user to pretty much anything that matters within liquidity, pay them APY, have bought and burnt liquidity. It's something I think that truly needs to exist and should exist. And, we have the opportunity for it to be here on Pulse Chain, right? Like that's huge for Pulse Chain, right? Like as an onboarding tool, as giving Pulse Chain good product market fit as a blockchain that has unique products built on it. I just think it's something we should adopt. I think it's something we can keep working towards. And again, like what it is today, not that the code's changing, but just as the system evolves, just like Ethereum did. Like Ethereum hasn't made tons of changes, or Bitcoin hasn't made tons of changes. But what it was the first 2 years was more of a speculative asset, but then it transforms into more of a store of value.
Blue Diesel asks a question, and by the way, Blue Diesel, you have the founder to thank for us streaming and being on Xspaces at the same time. So he asks, when you guys say revenue generating, do you say this because of the fees or the staking or both? When we talk about revenue generating, we're talking about what the machine is producing in a couple different senses, and I'm showing it on my screen. You have revenue being with every transaction. There's a 5% fee, and it's split up. Part of it goes to the DAO, 2% goes to the DAO. It adds to LP. There's a buy and burn, and then there's the reflections and staking rewards. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about value generation. That is where that 5% fee gets distributed to.
I think maybe the better answer is question, because maybe I haven't heard the name before, is what we're really generating that revenue off of, right? Where does that revenue come from? Because that's something you always have to ask. If there's rewards or if there's tokens being paid out, where is the value coming from? In most assets, it's coming from inflation or from users, right? Where something that's very unique to pTGC is a good portion of the revenue comes from neither of those. It comes with the service that we're offering to the blockchain and any assets that we're adding liquidity with. As the market shifts up and down, it needs to access our liquidity pools. And when it accesses our liquidity pools, our specific pools have a 5% fee. Just like any DEX has a fee and the DEX earns value off of it, our pools have a fee as well. So when the market needs to access our specific liquidity pools, we're charging arbitrage bots a 5% fee to access our liquidity. And then we use that revenue that's generated. Like, for an example, we have $70,000 of volume in pTGC in the last 24 hours. We use that revenue to increase all the things that matter within the product. So we're adding to liquidity, we're buying and burning supply, and then we're rewarding our holders with APY.
He says he loves the idea of being the index of Pulse Chain. Yeah, I think we all do. But if you do pair with a bad token, can that be unpaired? So if that token goes down, it doesn't bring pTGC down. That's kind of it depends how we do the pair, right, Zen?
Yeah, sorry, I'm multitasking here. Yeah, so if we pair with a bad token, keep in mind there's an idea that I kind of called the alpha pool. A bad token that you're paired with eventually becomes so small that it actually has very little impact over your system, if not none. And then your good pools become so large that those have the majority of the impact on your system, very similar to your own portfolio, right? So if your wallet, you're holding 10 different tokens and one token does very well, well, that token very easily could start taking up 99, 98, 97, 95, 90% of your portfolio if everything else isn't doing much. If one of the other tokens goes down, that token can very much take up like 1% of your portfolio, right? So this acts in a very similar way. The assets that perform well will naturally become your largest LPs, and the assets that do poor will naturally become your smallest LPs, making them have an insignificant impact on your system, and the good assets having a significant impact on your system. But yeah, that's, in the future, obviously a lot of our LPing, if it's not with a legitimate, sustainable asset that's been around for a very long time, like an RH Core or ETH or Bitcoin or stables, we're most likely not going to burn them, so we can unpair them if we need to, is kind of the route moving forward.
There you go, Blue Diesel. Good answer. Thank you, Zen. Who else wants to come up and chat? There's not a whole lot of people on Twitter today, but there are like over 30 on YouTube, which is good. I mean, I'm impressed. I'll be honest. I'm impressed at the attendance during such a time. Maybe just people want to find out what's going on, but can you imagine how things are going to be when we really start moving? I mean, Twitter and YouTube are going to be loaded. They're going to be loaded. We had 150 on Spaces I think it was a Monday night back in July. I remember. I counted. We had 150. Blue Diesel just learned about staking yield, which, by the way, guys, if you want to stake, you have the option to stake your tokens. And stakers earn about 1.6x more than holders. But to end your stake.
Yeah, real quick, Banana, it's roughly like 2.6x. It's 160% more.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Zen's the math guy. So you can earn more, but you just got to understand that when you want to end your stake, you're going to pay 1% of your principal. Which, you know, getting the ROIing on that 1% is all dependent on price, appreciation, of what time you enter, you know, what you got the tokens for, what they're valued at now when you end your stake, and the volume, you know, how much revenue they've generated, right? How much revenue your stake has generated. And what's cool about staking is you can end a portion of your stake. Right? You don't have to end it all. And the APY, the yield that it generates, is liquid. You can claim it and take it to your wallet anytime. And you want to do that regularly, like about once a week, because those tokens do sit in the contract and they're not making any revenue until you claim them and they're in your wallet. Then they start earning reflections. Polygon asks, are all of our pairs created by the DAO, or can anyone create one? What's the process? Yes, anybody can create a pair. Like anybody can create an LP with pTGC. What's the process? You go to PulseX and PulseX V2 and create a pairing. I mean, you want to expand on that, Zen?
Yeah, anyone can create an LP pair. I actually believe, you know, more, it's already been done, right? Like even other tokens that want to be exposed to helping their token move up, and they believe pTGC will be one of the most successful tokens on chain, they'll LP with pTGC for pTGC helping drag them up, right? So we've seen some of that. I believe even in the future, when pTGC kind of starts making it through back up and Pulse Chain gets adoption, even more people will want to pair their tokens or tokens that they like with pTGC to benefit them from the gains of pTGC. Also, maybe someone has assets in their wallet or tokens in their wallet and they want to just contribute to the pTGC web. Maybe they own pTGC and they're like, hey, I want to see pTGC's pair with ProveX to be even larger because that's going to help with revenue. And I got both in my wallet and I don't really care about losing 5% of my pTGC fee. I'm just going to do this just because I think it's good for the ecosystem. That's also something that can happen. So there's tons of different reasons why other people might pair with pTGC. Anyone can do it.
Yep. Well, guys, what do you think, Zen? Are we full? Have we had enough? Sounds like you got things going on, man.
Yeah, I got things going on. My son's running all over the place, and there's some guys at my house right now.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm open to shutting it down, man.
For my dog, so I'm kind of guiding them a little bit.
Oh, okay.
My dog's getting a little weird at night with my daughter and son, like, and I kind of want a place I can put him away from everyone just so an accident doesn't happen.
Yeah.
He's like protective, you know, and he gets grumpy at night because we're all loud and crawling on him and this and that. So
fun. I love dogs. All right, man. I mean, we can shut it down if you're open to it.
Yeah, I'm good. If no one has any more questions, I think we went over a lot of great stuff. Conversation kept flowing for 2.5 hours.
That's good, man. I'm so encouraged. that everybody shows up. That's just what a boost, man. I will be streaming tomorrow afternoon. We'll walk through the whole ecosystem. And yeah. Somebody, I think they were on stream last week. They're like, I got to stop showing up to your streams, Prairie, because every time I do, I buy more pTGC. So if you don't want to buy pTGC, if you want to stay away for a while, stay away from my streams. No.
Yeah, wow, that's good feedback.
Yeah.
That's like the best thing to hear ever.
I know, man. Well, I guess I can see why. My excitement is genuine, guys. It really is.
Yeah, I guess before we close it down, I'll bring up it. I haven't checked again since we've been on, but obviously I think Pulse Chain's probably still at its lowish levels. Yes, that obviously hurts pTGC's price. Obviously, Pulse Chain's price is low. Like a lot of people have DCA'd higher levels on all of our H tickers. Considering we're at all-time lows, some people have even DCA'd at higher levels than we are right now in pTGC. Take advantage of new low prices as they're here. They're not going to be here forever. I was kind of saying this earlier. My goal for pTGC, I'd say, is everyone's goal, but we have levers that we can pull within this community to kind of make some stuff happen. And we are a sub asset on this chain. Is to have a great year, right? Even if Bitcoin's going down, ETH's going down, even if it's a bear market, even if Pulse Chain doesn't hit high levels or start going up, our goal is to have a great year on pTGC, and we can very easily do it. It doesn't take much, and we're going to work in that direction this entire year. I think we're going to have a great year. So take advantage of these low prices while they're here. They're not going to be here forever. Markets do turn around. If there's someone that you want to get exposed to pTGC at a roughly $20 million market cap, I think those are great prices. If there's someone you want to get into UFO at like a $4 million market cap, I think those are great prices. We didn't get to go over UFO that much on the stream today, but currently UFO is like at a $4 million market cap and that's $2 million of liquidity. Same community. You get paid APY for just holding, also hyperdeflationary. Obviously, pTGC, we went over all that stuff, APY for holding, staking, and deflationary. I think opportunities are in front of us right now. pTGC has not been easier to pump in such a long time. I'm excited for our system to start pumping. I'm excited for our community to start, onboarding new users and getting rewarded for it. Yes, prices do feel down right now, but the opportunity for gains have never been higher, right? So that's something to really pay attention to. When prices are the lowest, the opportunity for gains have never been higher. The opportunity to move up off of this low of pTGC is some of the best opportunities that we've seen. It's easier to pump pTGC against Pulse Chain right now because liquidity has been sucked down from Pulse Chain. And just with Pulse Chain, let's say going back to its SAC price, that's a 10x. We always talk about how easy is it to do a 10x in pTGC. Right now, it pretty much just takes like $1 million, or I think $2 million into pTGC, which isn't that much, and then Pulse Chain just going back to its sacrifice price. That would be 100x for people DCAing or onboarding at today's prices. Obviously, that doesn't include sell pressure and stuff like that, but I'm just explaining like the opportunity to get crazy gains has never been higher. Obviously, it's the most difficult time to buy. It's easier to buy when things are pumping and green, and it's easier to onboard during those times, but that doesn't mean that's the best time to onboard. So thanks for showing up, guys. Just kind of wanted to bring that up. Obviously times are tough right now on Pulse Chain, but that doesn't mean this isn't some of the best opportunities that we've seen on Pulse Chain.
You're awesome, Zen. We appreciate you so much. I'm repeating what some of the guys in the chat have said. Thanks for being here, Zen.
Yeah, no problem. All right, you guys, thanks for co-hosting Banana. I appreciate it. I think that was a good 2.5 hour spaces.
I agree. You're welcome, man.
Right. See ya.
See you, Zen. All right, that was it, man. Yeah, Zen, he's awesome, man. He's my friend. I get to call. he can all be our friend, but I get to spend time with that guy. Like, what a privilege. What a privilege. SC, thanks for dropping in. All right, if you guys want to jump on my stream tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific time. Hang tough. You can get 1 million pTGC right now for $80. If you got friends, you're welcome. Hey, my opinion, this sell-off will probably still be going on when the reward system goes into place. So if you're holding off on, inviting people, my opinion, like, no shame, because they're just going to be getting a better deal. And you're going to be getting, as many tokens, a lot more tokens, I guess. However that works. But yeah, you're welcome, Polygon. It's good to have some new people in here. Blue Diesel and this old guy. The old guy, he called himself old. Okay. Appreciate you being here, man. That's so nice. That's so fun. Everybody's getting in. Good prices. It's going to be a great year. I'm excited, man. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Adios.